We're back. We hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Correct.
Because at the end of the day, what's more important than family and health?
Right. Not much.
Today we're going to talk about something that came up at the Thanksgiving table, but it's come up quite a bit. And the topic of today's video podcast is it harder for a business to succeed today? Is it harder for a business to succeed today? And the reason I think that it's important to get your perspective, and I'll share mine, is because the first business you opened was in what year?
1986.
Okay, and that was an insurance business.
Yes.
But since then, you've opened multiple other businesses.
Yes.
You opened another one with me in 2009, 10.
Mm-hmm.
We opened another one in 2021. But you've opened other businesses without me, obviously, within those periods. So it's not like you opened a business in 1980. What year?
86.
In 1986, and then stopped opening businesses. You can share a perspective of multiple years, including today. So is it harder for a business to succeed today? What do you think?
My message to anyone out there is, if you want to open a business, go for it. Do it.
Yeah.
Because one of the regrets that a lot of the older folks have, and I know this because I read an article about 80-plus-year-olds being interviewed, okay, about what their regrets were. And one of the regrets that kept coming back again and again and again was, I regret not having tried this. I regret not having taken this step. I regret not having done this. So there, amongst the regrets, way up there, was that they stopped short of trying something. Whether it was traveling, this and that, or whatever, they were regretting what would their lives have been like had they had the guts to do this. Okay? And a lot of them were related to opening businesses. So my message to everybody out there, if you're thinking of opening a business and you have this dream, go for it. That's the message. Is it harder to succeed in a business today? I think there are a lot more challenges because we are more regulated than back in 1986. Okay? And as the years have progressed, regulation has a tendency to potentially choke a business. So there are definitely more challenges. However, the person that has a mindset of not falling down ever, or you fall down and you get up again, you fall down and you get up again. The word is being persistent, okay? That person will succeed in any environment. But yeah, if I had to say, things are more regular. Yes, it's a little bit harder nowadays.
Because some people's perspective might be, well, you know, you opened a business in the 80s when times were, let's say, better.
There was less competition.
Less competition.
Okay.
And so it was easier to make money now.
Easier to make money then.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then now, I mean, the last business that you opened was with me in 2021, which is a real estate company.
Yes.
And it's had its challenges, right?
Yes.
I mean, especially in 2024 and 2025, we've seen, I mean, in real estate, what is the number? It's the lowest number of sales
ever.
Within, I don't know how many years.
Since is the lowest number of sales going back to 1995, I believe. We said that in another podcast.
In 2025.
Correct.
So obviously real estate's having a difficult year.
Yes. Well, a lot of our friends that are our colleagues in real estate are hurting. Yeah. A lot of them.
Yeah. Yeah, and we've seen it. We have clients that have cash but are not ready to dispose of it. You know, they're waiting for something, and it's, I think the uncertainty in the market. But one of the things that, from one perspective, is that you had a business that you started in the 80s that started to do well, and that allowed you to venture off and try other businesses. But you
Yes.
always had that main business that kept, what would you call it? It's almost like a baseline.
Yes. I was fortunate that I had that business that was producing revenue, and with that revenue, I was trying different things. And in some of them, I didn't do good. I opened up a pizza restaurant and I failed miserably, and I lost money there. So, um, if you have a stream of revenue, you have the so-called luxury of delving into other areas and see if it works or if it doesn't. With me, it didn't. Every time I strayed away from the financing, the insurance, the real estate, I got taken down. And so I was fortunate that I was able to come back to the same lane, let's say. And then the businesses that I opened after I got a little wiser were associated with that particular career. Insurance, real estate, financing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long do you think somebody should try something until they move on?
That's a great question. That is a difficult question to answer, but I think that someone should have like stop goals. Like, for example, you start a business and you can go 6 months all out, and at the end of 6 months you can evaluate where you find yourself, okay, and then make a decision then, and go another 6 months, so 12 months, 1 year, right? And then the 12-year mark will be crucial because, for example,
You mean the 12-month?
the 12-month mark will be crucial because now you've worked yourself to the bone. You've put in 12 months, and if the business is not generating revenue, you're going to have to go back and see what your resources are like. Because a lot of people that open businesses don't have 90 days of reserves, not even 90 days. A lot of people that open businesses don't have 6 months of reserves. So as those reserves start getting chewed up, things become more dire. Okay? And there's always two sides to a coin. If things become more dire, maybe it forces you to, because I know a guy right now that's working 65 hours a week, and he finally hit a breaking point. He calls it a breaking point where he's beginning to see revenue. And he's been at this for 14 months.
What
So
kind of business?
it took him 14, his sales, retail. And so, it may be different for different industries. But when you need to put food on the table to feed a family, it's a little bit harder.
Yeah.
Okay? It's a little bit harder.
Yeah, you want to see revenue. You want to, that's the main goal, because a business without revenue is no business.
There's no business.
Yeah. So that's the difficult piece, is making sure that the activities that one is doing are actually focused on generating revenue for your business.
And you have to have a tremendous work ethic. And you have to have a mindset made of steel. Okay? If you're opening a business, you need to, your mindset, your attitude has to be on cue, and you need to realize it's not going to be easy, okay? But you're going to do it no matter what it takes. And you got to give it your all, because if you don't, and then you have any reservations, people will pick up on it. Like the other day, I had a conversation with someone, and they were postponing an appointment that we had, and they were going to meet with someone that is new in the business of finance. This person's remark was, this will be quick because he's new in the field, or she's new in the field, and I know that he or she is not all that savvy, so I can't, give my investment money to this person. So I'm going to meet and see where I go, but I doubt that I'll do anything. If he meets with that person and that person is assertive, knows their product, and can deliver a good punch, she or he might change that man's mind. But if you have any reservations whatsoever, or you fumble a little bit, you're done with him.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, they already don't think much of your business.
Right. So you need to be, you need to be a warrior out there. And also, finally, just to add something, the business owner, the entrepreneur that opens a business today, for sure, has different skills than the guy that opened a business back in 1986. For sure. They need to be competent with the computer, okay, with marketing, social media. It's a big aspect of it. And, back then there wasn't none of that. I did research by going to the library. It sounds almost like it was in the caveman era, but there was no internet. I had to.
So what did you do that worked in the 80s? What did you do that worked to help bring in revenue for your insurance business at the time?
So I would speak with absolutely everybody about what I did.
No shame.
No shame. Everybody knew what I did. First,
How did you bring it up?
So on the street that I walked the street, all the businesses, and I had an introductory little postcard kind of thing with my business card on it. And I would go knock on the door. Everybody was very friendly. They would let me in. That's another thing. In the 80s, people are now a little bit, a lot of things happen, right? You don't talk to strangers. But back then, they were really friendly. There was a newspaper stand, for crying out loud, that sent me a lot of business, Mike.
Really?
Yeah. And the newspapers were on their outside of, he would sell, it was a liquor store, but it was a newspaper stand, and he sold drinks and donuts or whatever in little plastic things, and it was a newspaper stand. It had different newspapers, and I went in there and I told him, look, I'll give you the best deal I possibly can. He goes, okay, give me some cards, this and that. We hit it off. I would go every day, buy a newspaper. And we got to know each other. He sent me a bunch of business. He was on my block. I was the insurance agent on that block. And that's how I went to different businesses, and that's what I started. In my mind, I said, I'm going to control my street. And my street went from the red light here to the red light here. And I walked the front and the back of it and whatever. Once I had these people, then I ventured out a little bit more. And then more and more, to the point where, I was doing presentations to I would go to a hospital, make presentations to nurses, okay? I would go to real estate companies, make presentation to realtors, and I always took food. I always took food for everybody. And so...
And it didn't have to be super fancy or expensive. I remember you mentioning taking donuts, or little things, but you're bringing something, and...
You're bringing something to eat.
Yeah. I think that's still very valuable today, to be honest with you. I know some people are closed off, and that's fine, The other people are still receptive. And physically going to locations, I think, is something that is it's overlooked now because of the internet. applications and social media and all that, it kind of, I feel, people feel that you can do that only and not have to do that walking and meeting people physically, handing out business cards, which is something still that we do, even though it might be seen as old school. But there is something about giving somebody a business card that just showing an application on your phone doesn't do the same thing. I've asked somebody for a business card.
You're a little old school because we just went to a grand opening, and I talked to a couple of people there. They didn't have business cards. Yeah. They're the younger crowd, right? No, even a couple guys that were, in their 50s.
Yeah, no, there were several people who didn't have business cards.
No, they didn't have business cards. They just said, "Oh, I have this IQ, whatever. What do you call it? The
QR code.
The QR code, and this and that. If you do post, just take a picture of it and blah blah blah." And so,
whatever works for you.
Whatever
if that works
for you.
Yeah, but we like using business cards. I've seen you in action, promoting, talking about our current business. You also have your insurance business, but our real estate business, which is the new one that we're trying to grow. And everybody that knows us knows we do real estate. It doesn't mean they do business with us, but they know we're in the real estate business. And it's something that I think, even people that we meet in random places, cafes, you talk to, you approach people. You start conversations with people, you let them know what you do.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the people that I support, like there's a coffee shop that I like to go a lot, and it's actually kind of like a meeting place for a lot of people. I go there, I talk to a lot of people. People are friendly. There's another one that we go a lot that's huge. Our friends, the Portos. There, you meet a lot of people. But you have to know how to approach people.
Yeah.
Because if you see a couple, man, woman, whatever, and they're having a conversation, you don't want to interrupt a serious conversation. So you scope it, and you can tell when someone's having a serious conversation.
Yeah.
Someone is a little bit, or you just need to read the moment, right? But a lot of people would say, hey, you know what? You're dead in the water. Because I can press one button with my social media followers and so forth.
Yeah.
And with the press of one button, I send out 4,000 contacts, and it truly is a numbers game. So out of those 4,000, somebody's gonna bite.
Yeah. No, I think that you can do both.
You can do both.
But that is a valid point. What do you say about the person that feels that, we had some comments on previous videos where we talked about the economy and is the difficulties that we're all going through. What do you say to those people that feel that your generation, the boomer generation, created a lot of these issues for the millennials and the Gen Zs and the new generation by there's a lot of issues, but getting off the gold standards, which I think happened in the 80s, and then just continuing to print money, getting into political things and wars and all this stuff, where we start just printing money, and then the new generation now has to deal with a lot of the decisions that the boomers made. Not you specifically.
Right.
You were born in Cuba. I don't know how much, you came to this country and then as an immigrant and whatnot. But the point is that the boomers made a lot of these decisions. What do you say to the youth, people my age?
It's
younger?
very difficult to argue against that. Because, for example, the comments that we got on our podcast, they're actually correct. They're right. Can't argue with the fact that those things happen. And you can present a very solid case saying that all those actions have messed up, the market in many ways. I agree. I cannot disagree. However, I think that the world belongs to the entrepreneur. And I think that the person that's willing to start something new, I welcome that person, whoever they may be, he or she, and I encourage them to try. You gotta try. And if you bring something of value to today's economy and you resolve an issue, most likely you're going to succeed. But you're going to have a lot of setbacks, and you have to be ready to be resilient on that, because there are people that are taken to the edge of their patience and their strength.
Yeah.
Okay? And they're almost about to give up. There's case after case after case of that, And then they held up a little bit more, and all of a sudden, the sky opens up.
Yep.
But nothing that is worthwhile, I don't think nothing that is worthwhile comes easy. There's got to be a certain amount of struggle to it.
It's difficult. And then you also have the immigrant who comes from a war-torn country or extreme poverty, comes here, he's not thinking about us being off the gold standard, not thinking about all the money being printed. All they're thinking is survival. They create something, whether they start in landscaping, gardening, whether they open up a little restaurant or whatever the case. Or, like a good friend of ours that started with working his way up in a big Mexican restaurant, and then eventually opened their own.
Yeah, and is doing exceedingly well.
Yeah. So those stories also exist, and both things are true, that, we have a lot of the issues we have in today's economy, and the difficulty in starting a business and making it successful in today's economy because of, let's say, the boomers and their decisions. But then the other side is that there is still the ability to create a successful business if you push through and you give it the time that it needs, and you develop skills and provide value.
Develop skills and provide value.
I think
that's hitting the nail on the head.
I think you have to be also a master at what you do.
You do.
You can't just be someone who is mediocre or okay. I think you really have to be at something long enough to where you've seen a lot of it, ways that, like in real estate, specifically in commercial real estate, which is what we do, there are a lot of mistakes that can go, and the only real teacher is having gone through them. You can study things, but when you really go through those difficulties, then okay, this is how to deal with it. You're better equipped. You're a specialist now. They're going to call you in when there's an issue. And I think that takes time. That doesn't happen in the first 12 months.
Probably not.
Probably not, yeah.
The thing is, do you have the revenues, or do you have the reserves to continue? Like today, just this morning, okay, I was talking to a gentleman that came to provide a service to us in our house. And we were talking, and we hit it off. He's 62, okay? I'm 66. And, he asked me how we're doing, and I said, we're doing all right. We keep chugging along, moving forward. He's doing great. And he mentioned, I don't need to work anymore. I do this because it's, it gets me out of the house. It keeps my mind active. And, I love it because I meet people from all walks of life. And he said, just like you, Pablo. So he's working at the age of 62, but he doesn't have to work another day in his life. He does have a couple of expensive hobbies, but he's doing
so
it.
He has that luxury now, but it's because of all the years.
He's been working 40 years.
40 years in that specific trade.
Correct.
Which is something that's also very important. What businesses will succeed with all the technology artificial intelligence, all these things that are wiping out a lot of businesses, including the drivers.
Yeah.
We saw it with like taxis, and eventually it's going to be truck drivers. I think it's going to wipe out these jobs, and so it's taking out a lot of jobs already. AI. So not only is it more difficult to succeed, I think that's what we're coming to the consensus. It's more difficult. It's not impossible.
No.
But it's more difficult for a business to succeed today. But then also, what businesses can succeed today, and what businesses in the future are really not going to have a future? And that's difficult.
That's another podcast.
That's another podcast. So also, what you choose to focus on is very important.
Well, this particular gentleman that I'm talking about is a specialist in air conditioning and heating. Okay?
It's a trade.
It's a trade. I don't think AI is going to take a guy like that out. So if you go into the trades, and I got beat up on this. I gave somebody an advice, and somebody else came back and said, you should not advise that person to go into a trade. So, you have to be careful how you approach things, because people have different goals from where they come from. If you want to be a so-called professional in the medical field, you want to be a doctor, a nurse, you want to be an attorney, you want to be an engineer, an architect, you're not able to do that without going to college and getting your degrees. So, those goals are, but
require a higher education.
Higher education. But a lot of the people that go into the trades, I think they're professionals just because they didn't go to college or maybe they have a 2-year college degree or whatever. I've learned very much that these people are very much needed.
Mm-hmm.
The plumbers, the welders, the AC guys, like I called him because I needed him,
Yeah.
And so, but I don't see how artificial intelligence is going to knock out the
trades.
The trades, because this guy had to go get a ladder from his car, from his truck, and he had to go up on my attic.
Mm-hmm.
And so, how is artificial intelligence may diagnose what's going on, but they're not going to be able to fix it, because they're going to need to, in my case, we have to replace a motherboard.
Same with
mechanics.
Same with plumbing. Yeah, so it's very interesting, because what business are you opening?
Correct.
And that's very important also and is it something that has stood the test of time? Like, some industries seemed like they were going to be around forever and got wiped out.
Well, look, this is a friendly podcast where we give ideas and we try to generate a lot of stimulus and enthusiasm for people, okay? But I have heard of things that I didn't even think of. For example, there was a radiologist. This is a medical doctor that has a degree to be able to read x-rays and so forth, right? And he said, here comes artificial intelligence, and this computer was able to pick up a pneumonia from the x-rays in a matter of seconds. And he said, well, it's taken me, I think he mentioned it took him 2 decades to become as good as he is. Or let's say 15 years. I don't remember exactly, folks, but it took him at least 15 years he can do the same thing. He picked up the pneumonia on the x-rays. He's a radiologist, okay? And he says, but now artificial intelligence did it in 6 seconds, 9 seconds, I think it was the thing. So is his job going to be replaced? Because the last comment that he made on this Instagram reel or whatever, he said, maybe I need to go get a job at McDonald's. Now, I'm sure he's joking about that and he's being sarcastic, but the fact that he's competing now with artificial intelligence, okay? Now, I know of another case where I believe that the robot was in New York and the patient was in California or something like that, and this robot actually did surgery on this patient that was 3,000 miles away, but the
You
robot was in
mean
New York.
you mean the doctor was in New York?
The robot was in New York, and the patient was in California. And of course, you need to prepare the operating room and this and that and whatever. But it was a finesse kind of thing, and the robot manipulated the blades and did surgery on a patient that was, I believe, 3,000 miles away. So,
So somebody was operating that robot in New York.
somebody was, well,
Right.
I don't. I think the
We don't-
robot did it on his own. There's a lot of incredible stuff going on, you know.
Yeah.
So I haven't. I read that a long time ago. This is old news. This
Yeah.
is not news that's now. So imagine what artificial intelligence can do now. I'll tell you what I do know recently is that apparently artificial intelligence is replacing a lot of college degrees that are involved with, the arts and business administration, entry level jobs. They're getting knocked out by the hundreds, if not thousands.
That's another point you bring up about degrees, because to open a business, you don't need a degree.
No.
You need an idea, provide value. And a degree, I'm not saying a degree would not hurt. I don't think a degree would hurt you.
I don't think it will hurt you at all.
I don't think it will help you. Maybe it will help you. You can make both arguments that a degree will help you, a degree will hurt you, because, but it's not necessary.
I agree. But every time we get into this conversation, I get beat up over it. And so, you get beat up enough where you develop a little callous. If you want to get a degree, go for it. I think that it depends on every single one individual, For example, I have a degree. I'm not working in that field,
Yeah.
And how many people like me, I have a degree, okay, in the medical field. I'm not working in the medical field. I am up to my neck in business. In business, I've been doing for 40 years. So what did I do with my degree? Not much. It gave me a lot of knowledge on different things, how the body works, this and that and whatever. But
Yeah.
I'm not using it. And like me, there's thousands of people out there.
Yeah. So to wrap this up,
There's also something I wanted to say real quick.
sure.
In the process of going through the years and being involved in business, I remember approaching some of the very, very successful old timers that had made it and had done very well. And some of the habits that they had were horrible. Horrible habits. And yet they were extremely successful in the business that they were with. But if they were to fast forward, let's say 15 years, 20 years, if they would have tried to open that same business 20 years later, I don't think they would have been as successful as before. So there was definitely less competition, okay? And that's why you're saying you must become an expert in what you do. Because when you're opening the business today, there's probably 15 other people that want to open the same business. And there's different degrees of professionalism and expertise on all of them.
Sure.
So I can't give you a quote right now, but I forget how many college students are graduating now. They're in the thousands. And they're facing a job market where there's a lot of not as many opportunities.
Yeah.
You
It's
know, you
almost
could-
like you're forced to open a business.
Almost.
If you can.
If you can.
Yeah.
If you can.
Yeah.
And so, but don't lose hope. And if you have a dream, believe me, you don't want to get to the 80s. You're 80-year-old, you're 90-year-old, and that's one of your regrets. Go for it. You only have one life to live. This is your workbook. This life, you write the pages of your book. And there's opportunity out there because there's guys like me that are not willing to bet the house anymore. And by me not doing that, it creates opportunity for young people like you.
One of the things
out there.
One of the things I got a lot out of this podcast is no shame.
No shame.
No shame. Let everybody know what you're doing. Promote your business. Ask for help.
Yeah.
Ask for business.
Ask for business.
Ask for business. Not help. Yeah, ask for business.
Ask for business.
Help people. And don't have any shame because, like you said, you don't want the regret that I could have done this. I could have worked harder at this. Do you have any of those?
Oh,
Yeah.
I have regrets.
But in terms of like you could have worked harder.
No. I could have worked harder, no doubt about it. But I don't know that I regret that because the offset was I didn't work harder because I spent a lot of time with my family. Okay? So I would not want to change that because spending time with the family and friends was very rewarding to me. I could have worked a lot harder. Okay? Yes, I could have. But I don't know that I have major regret on that. Where I do have some regrets is there were some business opportunities that I didn't take advantage of. And maybe that's another podcast because there were business opportunities that I could have done exceedingly well in. And for X or Y reason, I went to the wrong person to take advice from. That was one of them. I tried to squeeze too much the seller in one particular. So I do have regrets. Absolutely. I have a lot of them.
But those were learning experiences too.
They were learning experiences. And like we say, what do you do with regrets? Let me tell you what you do with regrets. You take your regrets and you put them in a bottle and you cap it and you throw it out the back. Okay? And you keep moving forward and trying to learn something every day and provide value. If you don't bring value to the person, I'm a salesman. Been a salesman all my life. If you don't bring value to the table to the person that you're trying to do business with, that person will not do business with you. And if they do, it will be short-lived. So regrets, throw them over your shoulder and keep moving forward. Take the hits and keep moving forward.
We'll end with that.
All right.
Thank you.